Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and just really quickly before we get into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series finale review, which hasn't even aired yet. I'm actually making this promo in the morning. I just want to say a few things. First, if you're liking the content on the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. We're a small channel and we're growing daily. And it's really encouraging to see all the people that are finally finding the channel. But also, one of the things that I found on another channel that I've been trying to bring up is not letting the things that we love, shows and television, things like that, comic books, games, whatever, don't let those things define you. I love being surrounded by the things that make me happy, but they don't define me. They're a huge part of my life. And also, for those of you that like what I do and like what I say, I really appreciate it. And for all of you that don't, just let you know, it's not ever an attack on what you like or your opinion. I always say, like what you like. Don't apologize for it, even if other people don't understand it or like what you like. So, we try to put that kind of stuff out there because in this world there's just so much hate. And even if we criticize something that you love, again, understand this isn't a critique on you. This is just our opinion. And, I also want to thank everybody out there that has been watching my channel, and especially right now, for the people that watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because this show really means a lot to me. And like I said, it doesn't define me. I love a lot of things. As you can see, I like Breaking Bad and other things all around me. But this show means a lot because it's the show that I didn't expect to ever like. When I read comic books, I never was interested in S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought, this is really boring. These are the bureaucrats that just kind of way of the superheroes doing their thing. That's kind of how I thought of it. So all these years later, you get introduced to Agent Coulson, and in the MCU and Iron Man, and they built him up. They did the right thing. They created this character to be a through line, so that when they made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'd be already kind of invested. And how from day one I was on board. Through people telling me that they didn't like it, to people just not watching it, and just always feeling like this show was always going to be canceled, and it kept going, and some people would, oh, it picks up here, and oh, after Winter Soldier it got good, or after Age of Ultron it got good, and blah blah blah. But I never stopped giving up on it, even when I didn't like much of the first half of Season 5. Still stayed with it, even though I complained. And I never stopped, and I met so many people through the years and started reviewing it in I almost reviewed Season 5. I started to review Season 5, but I really didn't like it at the time, and I was going through some struggles. And so I stopped, but I reviewed all of Season 6, and we reviewed all of Season 7, and I've even gone back and reviewed all of Season 1, all of Season 2, and we started Season 3, and COVID and everything else kind of stopped me from making a lot of content. After this is over, we will be going back and reviewing all the previous seasons, Season 3, 4, and 5. But, I through this show I got to, work with one of my friends, Dee, and make new friends in Don Willie, and do our Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. And I got to meet a lot of you. That's one of the main reasons why I do what I do, is to make connections. And without you guys, there is no Smirking Gun Reviews. And I really appreciate then the choice that you guys make to watch my content and watch my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews, because I know there's a lot of people that have suddenly decided to cover this show a lot more now because there's less Marvel content out there. People that suddenly go, oh, I've been an agent of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time. I just decided never to cover it. Until now. And so it's always a competition trying to just keep up. And while I'm not the most polished video or audio You know, we work with what we have. And I always say it's what you say, not exactly what it looks like when you say it. I like my videos to be much cleaner and crisper, and that's something we're working on hard. But that's just, to me, kind of the bonus if you can make your videos look as great as you want. But as this show comes to a close, it's really starting to kick in that it's over. And there will not be another show like this, even if they do something similar on Disney Plus or another, wherever this show might land. So I just want to thank everybody that's been watching this show, been watching my reviews for it, been watching us on Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. Remember, we will have our series finale fan show on D's Reviews with Darren Jakes and Don Willie at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm about to play something different for my intro here. It's kind of evolved and devolved and changed depending on what kind of information I could find. But this is just a special, just like the thumbnail isn't picking any one picture in particular for the series finale, which are very hard to come by. This is just sharing my love of over the seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and my favorite intro from Season 7 to start this review. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the review. We'll see you in a few seconds. Bye.
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Starring Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Chloe Bennett, Elizabeth Henstridge, Henry Simmons, Natalia Cordova Buckley, Jeff Ward. Tonight's episode, A Trout in the Milk.
What can I say, everybody? Holy moly, if you just finished watching the episode like I just did, that was nothing what I thought was going to happen. There were a few things in here that a lot of us have been speculating on and guessing and all that stuff. And I can definitely say that this was a fantastic finale. And somehow, even though I had some doubts going into this two-part finale, they pulled it out. They pulled it off. They pulled it out. They pulled it off. They pulled it all over the place. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is at an end, and what an end it was. Holy moly. I'm literally floored, and it's very hard to just not jump into it, but I just want to take a moment again to say what a fantastic show this has been, with all the great actors and all the great characters over the years we've seen. Was this the best finale ever? of no, but it is really, really, really solid finale for this show and everything that they were trying to pull off, and the fact that we had a nice, quiet moment to get everything and see where everybody was at the end. Just so well done, and such a great thanks to the fans, and such a surprise, because unlike other Whedonverse shows, this one actually has a happy ending. And yeah, it's open-ended. Our characters are doing other things. Nobody died. Except for our bad guys. Nobody died. Except for Enoch, but that, he died in another episode, and we still got him back in this one. Plus, we had so many returning characters. But I just want to say, from, the beginning, right? I just want to thank all the people that are in this, and some of the characters, Clark, Ming-Na, Chloe, Ian, Nick, Elizabeth, Ian, I'm saying them all over again, Henry, Natalia, Adrian, Brett, Patton, characters like Enoch and Trip and the real Garrett and Jai Ying and Cal and Andrew, Deathlock / Mike Peterson, whoever you want to call him as, Robbie Reyes, Raina, played by Ruth Nega, Whitehall, Adrian Pazdar as Colonel Talbot, Ava, so many things, so many characters, so many adventures. And this is the perfect mixing of Season 6 and Season 7 too. The answers from the end of Season 6, some of the things that happened at the end of Season 6 make sense now more. Everything comes full circle, and they literally pulled off their own Avengers Endgame with the quantum realm and everything. I can't believe they did it. I do, but I can't believe that they pulled it off so well and managed to do it. And while there was a few things in there that, they were true, they also were kind of, not true. Like the breaking up of the team. The initial feeling that, oh no, we're never going to be in the same room again together. Which wasn't true, except, technically they aren't, but they are. And they only lost one person to time, which was Deke, and it made sense to why Deke would stay. He finally found a place to be, and it wasn't in our universe, it was in the one where he made a band. But we got so much to talk about, to unwrap and unpack everything that happened in here. But let's just start right at the beginning, where Mac, Daisy, and Sousa, are on the Chronicom ship. There's some great one-liners in here. One of my favorites is this right at the moment of them readying to have the doors open and the Chronicoms to come blasting in, and him being like, what are the odds that they're doing the exact same thing we are? Just great. But at this point, all of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this timeline is gone but the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse can withstand a barrage. But they knew that. But it doesn't stop May from feeling all the deaths. And that's one of the major parts of this, and what makes our S.H.I.E.L.D. characters so special is how they feel about this. Especially after they find out that they can go back. And how strong our characters are. And that they'd be willing to risk everything just to save this universe. That they didn't want to leave this universe behind to get hurt any more than it was. Even if that meant, and I get a little worried about this point, was that bringing the Chronicoms with them. But May feeling all those deaths is, it shows the weight and the impact of what just happened. And one of the things that we didn't get this, because Nathaniel said, right at the beginning, they're working for me. And I thought that maybe we'd see something of them fighting each other, but I think Sybil and the rest of the Chronicoms are beyond that kind of pettiness of worrying about whose side is really who, because Nathaniel in the long run is just some asshole. And he still remained throughout this episode. And if I had any gripes again, it was still just with Nathaniel and Cora. But I'm not going to really try to berate that any more than I have to for this final review, because I've said a lot. Everybody that watches my reviews knows how I feel about the villains in this season. and it didn't change here. What was important to me, like I said, was that how our characters navigate this finale, how they're treated, and all this, and so many people thought that Mac was going to die, or that Fitz might be killed off screen, things like that we were all worried about. And honestly, I just kept waiting to see who would drop first, and it just never happened because our characters, like I've said about one of the episodes a couple weeks ago, our team is so good that things like certain things they can just handle. Even Sybil says it late in the game that our team always finds a way. And maybe she really should have been thinking about that the whole time than percentages. But Nathaniel, he's saying everything that he still has to say to Cora, just more manipulation. Daisy's bad, Shield's bad, I'm good. And I'm just like, yeah. Another really funny moment was Deke trying to jog Gemma's memory and pretending to be Fitz with the arms. And that was so hilarious. Deke had some great moments in this too, especially since, well, it's a farewell to everybody, but he got the first farewell. And Jeff Ward, he's one of those characters, and I didn't mention him in the intro earlier about best characters, but Jeff Ward's Deke was a character that took a long time for me to warm up to, a really long time, because season 5 is my least favorite season, and so that was a really Deke heavy, era, and he stayed with the show, and I still struggled a little bit with season 6, but season 7 he really just brought it, and he proved what a great character he is. It's one of the reasons why I love that season 7 intro from this, the action TV show intro with him doing the whole, and Jeff Ward. So Jeff Ward, if anything that I've ever said negative about your character, your performances were never the problem. I really like it. And he still never stopped being the butt of jokes, though, which was it felt a little strange to just keep making fun of him, even now. Like when Daisy's like, we got to get back Simmons, and Mac is like, there's that weird, awkward pause, and Mac's like, and Deke too. And she's like, yeah, sure. And that happens at least one more time during the episode. And I was like, man, somebody needs to give some Deke love, because in the end he did make the sacrifice of staying behind, even though it's not really a sacrifice in the end, when he's probably running the show. It would have been nice to see like a little clue into that, like everybody else got, but they send Garrett to the lighthouse, and I know I might be a little all over the place, but I've got so many thoughts flying through my head right now. It's a good thing I've got a lot of notes. But they have Garrett go down to the lighthouse where Coulson and May are to put a bunch of chronobombs in there, and Yo-Yo's there too. And their whole thing with trapping him was really, really great. That scene was great. In fact, Paxton's son here was really good. He was really good. And I do want to say that in this episode, not only was his character redeemed, but I feel like his performance was way more toned down, and I really appreciated that, and it felt like I was looking way more at like Bill Paxton than I was somebody doing a performance of Bill Paxton. And I have to say to his son, good job in this finale, even though you got shot in the head. Which was one of the most unexpected things, but I thought it was great. He served his purpose. Goodbye, Garrett. He went out on the right side. So his character is redeemed in that timeline anyway. But Sybil still playing the odds, all these percentages. And I like that they also, like, you hear a lot about our characters fighting off the, don't say anything about the numbers. Who cares about the numbers? And that plays a huge part in it. In the end, it really didn't matter how many things, like, even as Sybil would say, oh, I didn't see this coming, but I don't really care that you guys have lost. But again, like, she just kind of seemed like weak too. Like, she was always just there to threaten and oh, we got to get Fitz. And again, it goes back to just not being that caring about the villains. But for me, it was more about our hero's journey to stopping all this and make it all come together, make it all explain why Fitz and Gemma had to do what they did. And so much of that is about that in the end. What happened during season 6 and closing it all up to stop the Chronicoms that were going to be the problem that we started in season 6. Nathaniel plans betrayal, which was a thing that I thought, wouldn't Sybil see that coming? Why wasn't she talking about the percentages of, it's a 75% chance you're going to stab me in the back. It just really didn't seem to make any sense to why she even needed to keep him around anymore. Especially when she said the fight's over, she could have just been like, yeah, hey, hunters, kill this a-hole. Because all he really was there to do was, she was just honoring their agreement, but why? Because I honestly never thought that he'd get past it, even if they killed all our guys. Let's say in some weird alternate universe, the plan was to let the bad guys win. She'd have just taken him out. There was no reason to let him live. The moment that May and Phil have, and I keep, I've forgotten so many times watching this that he's an LMD. I have to keep reminding myself that our Phil is dead. He died. And he didn't come back. And he didn't come back at the end. And who knows? Does it matter? If you can see past, if the performance is so strong and you don't know, you don't care, who's to say, really? Would I love to have seen Phil come back at somehow, some way? Sure. But then I think it would have meant lessening the sacrifices and all the things that Phil had suffered for. And we have a Phil that won't die if he doesn't want to. They can do de-aging. We can do CGI eventually with Clark Gregg if we want. Keep bringing him back. But when he says that I like this you to May, she doesn't know how she became that way, but he likes her and he likes himself, and it was a really great scene. And when they do trap Garrett, that was really great. Him trying to teleport out was a lot of fun. Yo-Yo moving the bombs. I mean, we had so many big moments, and yeah, if we wanted to know where the budget went, it was in these 2 episodes. Because they let it all go here. The special effects crew, as always, do a fantastic job, and in this, they spared no expense. And everything looked fantastic. Even though some of the wire work looked a little, but who cares? It still looked cool. You get super slow-mo superhero moments. But the whole bomb explosion thing, they save Garrett, right? They save Garrett, but as soon as he teleports, like I said, Mac using the old trick that with the power that shoots up and fries everybody, it was nice to see that called back. Hadn't seen that in a while. But when they make the Chrono bombs, when Sousa suggests making the Chrono bombs and what they do with the missiles, that was fantastic. It was amazing. And I picked this as a wallpaper, and there's another picture I'm going to shoot to last, but they find out that there's an 084, an unknown entity. And so they figure they've got to follow that. They duct tape those guys to the missiles. That gets them out. And then, of course, Nathaniel shoots Cora, who, I'm not going to talk about her, and she is there. She's there, and she sounds like a baby. Sorry, and I mean literally, she sounds like a child. But I got to stop myself. I can calm myself down and not put too much hate on her. Character. But the Chrono missiles blow up. They teleport. Garrett teleports them back. But unfortunately, as soon as he teleports back, he gets shot in the head by all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that got the same call that they did to bring the thing that they have. Where's this all going? I thought I had it figured out. In fact, I wrote it. I was like, oh, they're going to put this back together, and it's going to be Fitz, and he's going to be a robot. But we got to see younger versions of Gamble and Hand. And, you know, they all have these pieces of the puzzle. The last piece is Gemma's wedding ring. And they open up this thing, and out comes a man with a robot head, which for a split second made me go, oh my god, he is a robot. But it wasn't. It was Fitz. We finally get the glorious return of Ian Kestecker. I'm probably butchering that name as always. But I got the chills. I got goosebumps. I was so happy. It was our fist bump. You know, fist bump. Fist pumping. Raise your hands in the air. Jump up and down. Screaming, yelling that my favorite character has returned. And he didn't get, you know, killed off screen. So Don, Willie, please don't burn your Blu-rays. You didn't have to. You don't have to burn your Blu-rays. I was worried, man. I was worried my friend Don was going to have to burn his Blu-rays because he said if he got killed off screen, and he was going to burn his Blu-rays. Thankfully, he doesn't have to do that now. Because Fitz in all his glory is back. And, you know, but immediately we have the whole thing that there's going to be a 100% chance the team is never going to be together again. But Fitz gets to lay out a lot of time. They take like 2 commercial breaks in Fitz explaining everything that was going on, that they can go back to their timeline. And I love, you know, he tries to explain it. You know, you guys were in our timeline. You went back. You created a new timeline, but all we have to do is go to the quantum realm. And then people got a little frustrated for a minute. And then when he said Cora is the key, I literally went, what? No. No. What? No. I literally sounded like that, but it's true. We can't get everything we want. We got a lot. This part I just had to swallow. And, you know, I'm still here, so it's fine. But they use the quantum realm to get back, but somebody has to stay behind. And Sousa volunteers, and I was like, good. I love Sousa. I think Enver's done a great job with this character. But I don't care about Sousa and Daisy. I don't. I'm sure if you guys do, that's great. If somebody does, great. I don't. But Deke stays, and it makes sense. But I was like, why can't they both stay? But Deke stays behind, basically, to run everything. And I thought, this is too easy. This is going to fail. This is going to be like Marty McFly turning on the car right at the end of Back to the Future, and the car's not going to start. But everything just goes off without a hitch, pretty much. And everything that we had planned, basically, we just see the plan that Fitz and Gemma have just play out perfectly. Pretty much, other than Jai Ying was dead, and that kind of threw things for a loop for Fitz for a second, but everything else stays the same, and Deke is gone, but he's still alive. And they say that this will be the last time that we're all in the same room together, back at the bar. Back to our timeline, but they bring the Chronicoms with them through the quantum realm, which is really cool. I like that he called it. The one line that Nathaniel had I liked was that they were trapped in a Grateful Dead poster. But this is like Avengers Endgame. I mean, come on. They literally did the same thing to travel through time to do their mission. This is amazing. And we got to see Flint and Piper and Enoch, and to be honest with you, I didn't know if I'd care. I heard about this. The rumor was that Flint and Piper would be back, and I was like, eh. But I was so happy to see them, and I'm glad that I was happy to see them. Everything that they did in this, to make the choices they made, and the explanations of why they needed to be there, all tying into the events at the end of season 6 with the temple, you know, and the monoliths, and the explanation of the explosion of the temple. Everything just comes full circle. And Enoch the Outlaw, the return of Enoch too, and the explanation of where Gemma and Fitz were, for the most part, is explained here, and that they were out there for a long time, years, and they decided to finally come back, and we see the implementation of their plan. And we do get Sybil and Nathaniel at odds, but really it just still doesn't go anywhere. And I just thought, just kill him. Why let him keep going on? He's ineffectual. She even keeps saying the percentages aren't going to really look that great for you. But he takes Cora's power again with the magical blood transfusion machine that doesn't kill her because plot! So we get back to the temple. We're in stealth mode. The ship is hidden. She's looking, I love the fact that her powers just can't, like, they've got all this power in the universe and they can't spot one ship out there using a cloak. And I know why, it's just funny. But it's also when they put on the and they're not supposed to interact, and we realize that the people in the suits were them in the other timeline, and we were actually seeing parts of our team in those suits. We just couldn't tell what they were doing, and it's just so cool bringing it all full circle. And I know I've said it before, but that's how cool it was. That word cool is important in this review. But it all comes together, even when we think in the big climax that things are going to go really bad. Sybil gets her hands on Coulson. Nathaniel and Daisy start their fight. Yo-Yo, Sousa, Fitz, and Simmons are all doing their thing. And Gemma finally remembers. And that's when Mac gets Cora, saves her life. Again, we don't always get what we want. And the return when again, and this didn't fool me for a second, but when Sybil when Coulson tells her, oh, they're all at the lighthouse, and she smiles, and he's like, oh, creepy smile, that's new. And she just I knew as soon as he gave her the information that it was going to backfire on her, and yes, they just needed her to plug in to, so they'd have access so that the cavalry returns and May comes shooting down from the ceiling in all her glory to kick some ass with LMD Coulson. It's amazing. He even says it's time for me to smile. And then May puts her hands in the machine, uses her abilities of the emotional range that she has to give all the Chronicoms empathy. All the Chronicoms hearts grew 3 times that day. And they all become friends. Now, is it a little simple in the end when it's just they just gave them emotions? That is something we talked about. They're going to give them emotions, and then they're going to just suddenly not want to kill. Somebody set these robots to evil. And they just flip the switch, and they're fine. The rest of them get blown up, but that was the other thing, is Daisy sacrificing herself, at least we thought, or at least that was her intention, to kill Nathaniel and herself. I did go, what the F, Daisy? But Cora, again, key to the episode, brings Daisy back. Anybody ever heard of defibrillators? Anything could have... No, we needed Cora to do it, and okay. Thank you, Cora, when they said that. And I'm sorry. I was like, okay, now shoot her in the back of the head. But they don't. And I'm sorry. That'll be the last dig on Cora. But, poor Flint and Piper, they keep seeing people come back and forth and how'd you do that? How'd you do that? What have we been arguing? And we find out that they've been protecting little baby Fitzsimmons. But I knew that too. Everything was kind of predictable as it was playing out. I was just like, this is what's going to happen. Yep, that's what happens. But it was all things you wanted to see happen. And it wasn't fan service. It all made sense. The blood work wasn't Fitz being, getting radiation poisoning like when he put on the helmet. It was their baby. That was the reason why they stayed there for years, was to be a family in case, who knows. And so little baby Fitzsimmons is there. I know that's not her name. Pretty cute kid. Couldn't understand everything she was saying. But that's alright. She's a little kid. And that's it. I was like, where did Sybil go? I thought she just ran away. But apparently she's blowed up as well. And I was even more shocked when we came back from commercial and they said 1 year later. And we're back in the bar. And this is where we tie things up. That, at first it all seemed like they were all there in the same room together. But they weren't. They were all just hologrammed in. And this is our quiet moment to say goodbye to these characters. They got to say goodbye to each other even though they're still friends and still keeping in contact, and everything's cool and good, and everybody's alive. They've got all their fingers and we even got things, we got to see what everybody is doing, We said same time next year, and it was nice that they were kind of vague about how things, some things were, especially like what's Daisy doing out in space? Is she a part of SWORD? I don't know. I mean, we did see Fury up in space at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. So maybe she's a part of that. But, we got to see Yo-Yo, what she's been up to. And she's working with Piper and an LMD Davis. So we even got Davis back, which was really nice to see him, even if it's just for a second. Her and him arguing. It was really cool. May is teaching at SHIELD Academy, at the Coulson Academy, where Flint's a student. And Fitz and Gemma are parents. And Mac is basically the new Fury, at least the Earthbound Fury, on the helicarrier. And Daisy and Cora and Sousa are out exploring space. Probably, maybe for SWORD, we don't know. And like I said, if there is a chance for a show, that would probably be it. If there's a spin-off, and, well, then it better mean that I better get used to seeing Cora if that's what happens. I should have said 7 seasons and a spin-off, but I did. I do have a piece of paper that says 7 seasons and a spin-off, and I know I put it up a couple of times on different places. But Lola is given back to Phil from Mac, and we get to see his Corvette turn into an even cooler looking Transformer flying car as it flies at the screen like Back to the Future. And the very last line of the show is Phil getting in his car, putting on the sunglasses, looking at his surroundings in this new car, and just saying simply, cool. And that's what this was, man. This was cool. This was cool, cool, cool. It is the perfect send-off for our agents. Everybody lived, which is so shocking for a Whedon show. I love this. I'm glad that this isn't going to be one of those shows that I can't go back to, where I'll just be like, nope, I'll only be able to get this far, and I'll get to the finale and go, eh. Or maybe not even that. Sometimes the finale can actually ruin your motivation to go back and rewatch a show, and thank goodness this is not that. This is going to be what people, when we say, oh my God, there's almost no good finales. So many shows have such a hard time sticking the landing, and they did it even despite our worries over the last couple of episodes that at least mine have been sated, and all is well with the universe, and I can look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and say, it's cool. So that's the end. That is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Don't forget, we are going to be going back and reviewing, well, we're going to be reviewing the old seasons. Now, I've already done Season 1 and Season 2, and I started Season 3. But we're going to be going back to doing Season 3. And we've also got some Agent Carter stuff possibly in the works. Either just with myself, but also we're talking about a group thing, again, with even more people involved. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you watch Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, yeah. Make sure you watch Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. I went back to my favorite team, or my favorite class of teams, except Yo-Yo should be in there. And you can take Lincoln out. But make sure you watch Fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. this Friday on D's Reviews, where we're going to be covering all this. I'll be talking about all this and more. We're going to be sharing our emotions. We're going to be talking about all this stuff. I'm sure Darren right now is watching the last half hour of the show, or maybe the first hour of the show, right now. So his review will be up in the morning. Mine will be up late here. But speaking of which, I mean, I don't know how to end this, so I just got to end it. If you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Thank you guys so much for watching this show with me this season, last season, and please go ahead and continue. Go back and watch my reviews of Season 1 and 2 and starting 3, and we'll be catching up with those very soon. Otherwise, this is Rob saying have a great day, and we'll be back with more stuff sooner rather than later. Cool. Bye.